Okay, so this is the second revision video on Unit 4 that we're going to look at, and this topic is one I've covered quite a bit, and it's duty of care. So first of all, welcome everyone. You've got to know what this is. So duty means responsibility, and care means obviously looking after someone. So definition-wise, first thing we need to look at in a definition is the fact that we know it is a legal, and I've used the word moral, but it can also be ethical. So it's a legal and ethical responsibility, all right? So we've got to act. People who run sessions have got to they've got a legal and ethical responsibility to provide basically provide safe and effective care. So safe and effective environments for where so the care is given. So a legal and ethical responsibility to provide safe sessions or whatever. But they're the key elements for the first part. And we'll talk about on how and things you can do on how you make that happen in a moment. But just wanted to talk about the different. Let's go with the blue. Let's mix it up a bit. So, what the spec wants you to know is that it wants you to have an idea about potential areas as a coach or anything else, potential areas of maltreatment. So you've got to be aware potential areas of maltreatment. So you've got as part of your duty of care. So it wants you to know that you know these areas, so you're aware of the areas where it's most likely to happen. And we talked about the changing rooms being one, as a safeguarding issue. One-to-ones you want to try and avoid as part of that. Transport or after sessions is another potential area of maltreatment. And that links in with trying to prevent allegations of abuse, which obviously was to do with having the right ratios of staff around there, or also it could just be, say you've got an all-girls group and there's an issue in the changing rooms, having the right female member of staff to assist with that. So you've got to know potential areas. You've also got to know the fact that as part of your duty of care, there's got to be equal treatment. Okay, so you've got to provide equal treatment to special populations. So let's knock that off there. So special populations are obviously what we've talked about there, and it links back to Lee's, are going to be older users. So we'll have over 55s. I think that counts as, or the spec counted as such, young people and or vulnerable adults. So vulnerable adults are again. So vulnerable adults. I'm still struggling with this pen. So vulnerable adults are also something to be aware of, and you could have postnatal, antenatal pregnant women as well. So antenatal, so ante is before and post is after. I don't know whether you know that, but a little point on that. If a woman is pregnant before she actually has the baby, obviously there's an extra person there, she can lose up to 20% of her blood volume to the baby. So and it links in, so blood volume goes directly to the baby. So the training, a coach has got to be aware of the impacts of having your baby on and exercise and be up to date and qualified on that. So just a little fact for you there. So I put these pictures on because it's also important you know how. So how do we offer duty of care? And I've picked two scenarios that I think they're most likely to ask in an exam. So I've talked about the legal and ethical responsibilities. So as an instructor or as a coach, there's a set of legal things you must do and also ethical things you should try and do as well. And I'll try and talk about them in each. You've got to be aware of the areas of maltreatment and make sure that you put things in place to treat all these people equally. Okay, so we've got let's start with the coach. So the coach what are the things we can do? How we can make this offer effective and safe care? Take a register. Okay, straight away having a register is going to allow you to, if there's an evacuation, allow you to do a head count. Have insurance. Okay, have insurance. That's the same for both. So there's insurance involved. You can do a register for both. Try and see what overlaps. Risk assess. Okay, so risk assess the area. Again, that would be over on this side. So you do risk assessments. You check your work environment. You know, when you're navigating around the gym, what would be an issue? Is it easy to get out of the gym if there's a problem with the person in a wheelchair? The children know where to go, and make sure you've got supervision in place to actually help them if there is an emergency as well. So risk assess, ensure, take a register, be aware of medical details, so medical information and contact information. So you've got all the contacts, again, medical and contacts. Now bear in mind, when I say contact, it's emergency contact. With children, you would speak to parents, but also with an adult or a vulnerable adult, you would need an emergency contact, and that's part of your duty of care. Something goes wrong, you've got to make sure you can get hold of someone, their next of kin, and that will be expected as part of your duty of care. Okay. Another thing is, if you're working with little ones in particular, another way to offer duty of care is to have rules. So you can have rules in place, and run out of space there, but you can have rules. So by having rules and getting them to follow the rules, and it can be the same with people in the gym. By having rules, it's going to make the actual training session safer. So rules is another way, and making sure rules are followed. Planning appropriate. Planning appropriate sessions. Okay, I'm running out of space. So planning appropriate sessions, again, would fit into this one or fit into this one. If you've got taking this into account, filling back into this, if you've got somebody who is antenatal, the session's got to be appropriate. If you've got someone who's over 55 and you absolutely blast them on a treadmill doing interval training at 100% of the maximum after a heart transplant, then obviously that's against your duty of care. And if they were to drop dead and die, HSE, if you remember those guys, people might be, when these things go wrong, the HSE, Health and Safety Executive, might look at some of the activities that were done and look at whether you made good decisions legally and ethically based upon on that treatment. So you've got to treat people equally, but also take into account their individual capabilities and limitations. No point getting children using a size 5 if they're under 7, and doing a header session. So all those things are ways you can minimise risk a little bit, but it's all part of your duty of care. Okay, so that's duty of care explained. Try not to get it mixed up with safeguarding. I hope you found it useful. Thanks very much.